Do we have too much government?
We need to put people ahead of corporate profits.
This system is so lopsided. This threat is a real threat to democracy.
And I think that's really important. That's something we haven't been doing in this country for a long time.
Where do you start? What do you do? How do you do it?
Access to Democracy and other Eagan community television programming is supported by Thomson Reuters, makers of Westlawn Next and based in Eagan. Through Westlawn Next and other innovative online services, Thomson Reuters is the world's leading source of intelligent information for businesses and professionals. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And by U.S. Federal Credit Union, the member-owned financial institution offering service, value, and experience you can trust to the greater Twin Cities community.
Welcome. Access to Democracy returns, Alan Miller returns, and Troy Parkinson is with us for the first time from the Minnesota Film Board, known as Minnesota Film and TV. And welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you've got 15 years, at least, in the business. Give us a little bit of background and tell us how you ended up in Minnesota.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm originally a Fargo native, grew up in North Dakota, and then went to college in Emerson and got my degree at Emerson College in Boston.
Good school.
Yes, it was a great experience and gave me a lot of hands-on experience and also connected me to what we lovingly call the Emerson Mafia, which is all of those alumni that are connected in the industry. So I spent 3 years in Boston getting my degree, returned to Fargo in 2000, where I actually was full-time employee with a company called Video Art Studios, a full-service production company. So we produced a lot of corporate communications, local and regional commercials, politicals, a lot of nonprofit videos, and then ultimately we made our way into cable television production. So I've produced a TV series for Discovery Health Channel called House of Babies, which was a natural childbirth and midwifery show. I did 26 episodes of those. Personally, I did 13 of them, and then also worked on a series for the History Channel called Monster Quest, where we basically took scientific investigation into mysterious creatures, which Monster Quest was a Minnesota-based company, White Wolf Entertainment. Dale Bosch was an executive producer who was also on the Minnesota Film and TV board. And so I then moved to Minnesota in 2009, where I worked freelance for a number of years and just recently came on board as Director of Production with Minnesota Film and TV.
And Director of Production does what?
Yeah, my
Although
role,
the name should tell us what it does, but...
Absolutely. My role as Director of Production is to help be a liaison between production companies who are wanting to come to the state and the state of Minnesota. So I help people with permitting. I help people, making those right connections to the locations that they're looking for. I'm also responsible for increasing the location photos library on our website so that producers or filmmakers that are looking for those unique sites and unique locations in Minnesota have the opportunity to go online, sift through them, and find that right site for their film.
There was a period when Minnesota was very popular in filmmaking, I guess around the 90s, beginning of the 90s. Then we had a legislative change, and the past legislatures did not see the benefit of films, and we can talk about their short-sightedness in that regard. And so we didn't have any incentives to offer people. Now, what are the incentives now? Because I know it's been increased substantially.
Absolutely. We've been approved to get $10 million into what we call our snowbait fund. And ultimately, the snowbait is a rebate. You can get up to 20 to 25% cash rebate on any Minnesota expenditure that you have in the state. So if you're shooting within the metro area, you'll get up to 20% back. If you shoot in the greater Minnesota, then you have a chance to get up to 25% back on specific Minnesota expenditures. And really, we fall under DEED, which is all about economic development, jobs creation. And when a feature film comes into a community, not only are they bringing jobs for our production community, but they're also bringing opportunities to for hotel industry, for restaurants, for local businesses, and it can really be a great opportunity for a community to get a boom in their business as well.
Yeah, it was very short-sighted of the legislature to cut back on the money. Now, I know we had some tough years around 2008, 2009, but the fact of the matter is that we also have a wealth of talent here in the Twin Cities, which is what makes it particularly attractive. We have probably the biggest acting and directing community outside of perhaps New York and Hollywood, and we have people who can serve in all the capacities that you need to make a film, be it stagehands or be it camera or be it whatever, and those people are here. A lot of them work for the advertising agencies here. We have more advertising agencies here per capita than any place in the country. So that it would seem to be logical that this would be a great place to make films.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that's exciting for me, being a native of this area and having grown up in Minnesota as well, is that it is a great state for production. There's an amazing group of talented people, not only those that have been working in the industry for years, but also there's a new breed of filmmakers that are coming up the ranks, and they are just as passionate and just as excited about Minnesota filmmaking. And so the future of Minnesota filmmaking, in my opinion, looks very bright because it's always going to be here, and now we have money to help bring those productions to the state. And of course, if you shoot up in northern Minnesota as well, you have access to an additional incentive through the IRRB, and you can get an additional 20% cash rebate.
And the IRRB is the
Iron Range Renewal Resource Board.
Resources and Rehabilitation Board. Yeah,
Board. Thank you. Yes.
As he glances down as it notes. And we also have set designers here. We have people who can fill just about any capacity needed. But one of the things that's not talked about a lot in terms of films being shot here is the fact that it also helps tourism tremendously. Yes. After Fargo and Grumpy Old Men and films like that, it had an immediate impact on tourism in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so it really helps the economy in creating jobs, in helping the local community, and in tourism. So it seems to be a given.
Definitely, and what's really amazing and one of the exciting things for me is that as I get to travel around the state, taking location photos, connecting and building film-friendly communities throughout Minnesota, I'm just blown away myself, even being connected here and a native in the sense, to all of the beauty that Minnesota has to offer, and all of the locations that are rich for tourism. And when films shoot there, and then the nation or the world as a whole gets to see those beautiful areas, it's only a drive to come to the state and to spend their dollars here.
Now, there's an interesting story about a film that was partially shot here a few years ago called Kimiko, the Treasure Hunter,
Yes,
which is half
yes.
Japanese, half shot here.
It's a delightful film. I had the opportunity to see it as it showcased at South by Southwest this year in Austin, Texas. And, of course, being a Fargo native, being from Fargo, the Fargo movie for us in Fargo was just an extraordinary coup. I mean, it was delightful. Our Fargo theater was very active with the whole screening and Oscar parties. And I was actually a part of the planning committee that was worked with Merv Griffin Productions, who was hired by MGM to do the DVD release party for Fargo. So when Kimiko the Treasure Hunter came around, that was a story that we'd been hearing about in the area for a while, and the basic premise is that there's a young Japanese lady who is obsessed with the movie Fargo, believing that the actual treasure exists. The money that Steve Buscemi buries at the end of the movie, she thinks still is there. So she flies from Japan to Minnesota in search of the money, and Kimiko the Treasure Hunter follows her journey and her story and really highlights some of the beauty of Minnesota when they come to the ground. And I mean, I know I was watching the film just ready to see what the next turn was and the next turn, and it was a great film.
And we have another film that's, and I want to see that, by the way, when it's re-released. But we have another film that's coming out in October, really ballyhooed as a really interesting film called Dear White People.
Yes.
Produced by Effie Brown and Damien, I just blanked on his last name, but That's okay.
Yes, Dear White People was a great film and something we're very proud of with Minnesota Film and TV. They came in and really had a short window of time.
Justin, not Damien.
Justin,
yeah,
yes,
Justin
yes.
Simeon, that's it.
They really had a short time to produce that film, and our offices were able to assist them in securing locations. Obviously, they were the first candidate to receive the Snowbait funds and be certified to receive those funds. And so Dear White People is a real opportunity for us to showcase the beauty of our state, because they also shot on the University of Minnesota campus, and there's a lot of great iconic elements of Minnesota in that film as well. So, and plus the huge success. I mean, any young filmmaker that has an opportunity to get one of their first films in Sundance is always a great opportunity, and great reviews across the board.
And Justin won an award
as
the most up-and-coming young director. He also wrote it.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
A very interesting guy. Effie Brown, the producer, said that if it wasn't for the help that she got from the film board, they could not have done that here, because their shooting time was minimal. It's like 20 days with, sometimes they go to 40, 45 days in a location, and they got it all done here. And they did the editing here. And she extols the merits of the film board. And of course, we've had your boss on here on several occasions.
Yes, Lucinda and the team at Minnesota Film and TV, and the board of directors as well. We're all committed and passionate about increasing production here in the state, and that's what our goal is, and we hope to help facilitate other filmmakers in that opportunity as well.
Now, I heard something about a soundstage being built up in the Iron Range. Is that something that's in the works, or is it still just speculation?
Well, no, it is in the works. It's not anything official that can be announced yet, because they're finalizing some of the details. But they are looking at creating a soundstage up in that Iron Range so that they can actually take advantage of that incentive program up there. Because when a studio film comes in, or even an independent film comes in, a lot of the times they want to build their sets. They want to be able to have the freedom to shoot all of their interiors in a soundstage. And when a location or an environment doesn't have a sound stage, it's sort of limiting, and so they have to sort of improvise. So the fact that there will be a possible sound stage here, hopefully by the end of the summer up in the Iron Range, will be a great win for the state and a great win for that area as well.
So let's talk about dollars and cents for a filmmaker. You have a film, and your budget is, as Dear White People was, I think $1,700,000 or something like that. You bring it to Minnesota, and you can get back 25% of your in-state expenses.
Correct. Yep. So that includes, anything that has a Minnesota zip code is what you can get reimbursement for. So that includes crew. That also includes even purchasing airfare if you purchase that through a Minnesota-based travel agency. If you have to build sets and you need to purchase equipment and gear. We have a great team member, Jill Johansson, who is our incentive specialist, and she works directly with filmmakers to help understand the process of what the rules are and the regulations to get that money back. But what's very exciting for filmmakers is that they hear rebate, cash rebate, which is different than a tax incentive, because with tax incentives you have to wait till the next tax year and there's a process. But with Minnesota's cash rebate, within 90 days of submitting your final receipts, you can get a check cut to you for the production and for your incentive rebate.
And we have some local filmmakers who have made films here also. Patrick Coyle is one. I don't know if Patrick has anything going at the moment, but
Patrick was one of our recipients of the Legacy Fund. One of the things that we do at our offices as well is that we help manage some of the Legacy Funds, which are intended to help filmmakers that are producing projects that honor the Minnesota legacy. And so Patrick currently has a film that he is just in post-production on now that was a legacy film. And we've been able to help other legacy films as well. The Jingle Dress, which premiered at this year's MSPIF, Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival, was also a recipient of legacy funds. A great documentary film, which also aired at South by Southwest, Wicker Kittens, which is a delightful documentary film about competitive puzzle making that occurs at the Winter Carnival, was also a legacy funded film.
I actually starred in one of Patrick's films.
Oh, yes.
You probably missed me in Into Temptation.
Okay.
But about 2 minutes into the film, they go into a hospital where a man is dying surrounded by his family.
Okay.
and that was me. I had 8 seconds on
Very
screen.
nice. Excellent.
Took us an entire evening to shoot it.
Sure.
But we had Kristen Chenoweth, and was one of the 2 stars,
Okay.
and it was a very well done film. Then, of course, the tougher thing is distributing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way the industry is set up today.
Indeed, and distribution and actually the continued evolution of the industry is also something that's very interesting to observe. Not only from my time at Emerson when I first started this process, but as we've evolved over the last 15 years and continue into the next 15 with new digital technology, the way that we consume our media through iPhones or iPads or any digital tablet, the dynamics of how we are watching our media is very different, and that also incorporates independent and feature film process. Hollywood is evolving and adapting and trying to understand where this next wave is going, and so there's a real opportunity within the state of Minnesota. For example, roughly 4,000 films were submitted to Sundance, and of those, much like Dear White People, were selected, and we're lucky to have that. And we'd love to get more films like that, quality films that want to tell excellent stories and really come to the area, because films will always be made, and we hope that in Minnesota we can help entice people to come here, not only for our great locations, but again, for our crew, for our talent, and for all the other wonderful things.
Yeah, that's one thing we have that other states don't have, is the crew, the talent, the actors. I mean, ask any waiter in any restaurant here what his life's ambition is or hers, and they're an actor.
Yeah.
And we also have probably within the foreseeable future a 4-year film program at the University of Minnesota, which is long overdue.
Yeah.
I teach at MCTC, Minneapolis Community, and in fact, our volunteers here manning all the positions except one today are MCTC students, and we are turning out filmmakers. We are turning out good filmmakers. Certainly, one of our students who's now teaching won the Nichols Fellowship a couple of years ago, Jeremy Bandow, and is on the faculty of MCTC. And we had at a Super Bowl, I think 2-3 years ago, a Cheetos commercial, which won a national competition by 2 of our students,
Nice.
who not only got to show that commercial, but they also got $100,000 for a gift. And we have a lot of people who are working in the industry. We have a lot of talent. One of your interns for the summer is manning a camera right over my right shoulder. And it really has been a very, very fruitful type of endeavor.
Yeah, what's really great about Minnesota is it develops and creates some really amazing quality people and work ethic as well. And so you even find that out in Los Angeles and New York. We have something called the Ice Pack, which is sort of our connected entertainment industry community. And so every year we have a party out in Los Angeles where Minnesotans or those that have connections to Minnesota who are working in the industry can all come together and collaborate and connect. Because the thing we hear over and over again at our offices is that I would love to come home and shoot, or I would love to come and create projects here. And so for those filmmakers that have Minnesota ties that aren't living in the state, there are many that would love to come back when we continue to have that flow of films coming in.
And another thing that it helps also when a film is shooting here is the hotel business.
Yes.
The restaurant business, the catering for the film, all of these things which are expenditures necessary for every film and which they can get reimbursement from the Snowbait program.
Yeah, and the hospitality industry loves it when feature films come in. We had a facility in downtown Minneapolis that was just thrilled when Dear White People was here because they had the rooms booked for 2-3 weeks, And so the ability to be able to support our community, and I think the other thing is there's a quality of life in Minnesota and in the metro area, and of course up in northern Minnesota as well, that you can't really get anywhere else. And so being part of the greater MSP
That's
experience.
one of the things that brought me here 17 years ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's such an eclectic, wonderful group of people here in Minnesota that it's a real pleasure to be able to go out and to share what we have here in the state, so that, you know, even in the off hours of production, which really don't occur a lot on a feature film necessarily, but any downtime, people are always amazed by the beauty of what our cities, the Twin Cities, has to offer, as well as, you know, the rest of the state as well.
And of course, we've had films that were shot in the late Metrodome. I say the late Metrodome
Right.
because it no longer exists. But we had some baseball films shot there, and we now have major sports facilities available, certainly out of season to shoot films, so that the state really does have everything.
Yeah,
I think in
absolutely.
terms of the industry.
And what's great now, on especially like something like the Twin Stadium, is that we have the All-Star Game coming this summer, and the All-Star Game is a great opportunity for, you know, national and international organizations to see the power of the community that we have. And so we've already had requests from a variety of different sports networks that are interested in coming to the state and broadcasting while the All-Star Game is on, and of course with the building of the Viking Stadium as well, that will only lead to additional opportunities, you know, knock on wood, hopefully a Super Bowl one day as well.
And the university just got a new stadium. In fact, the Vikings will be playing there for the next 2 years.
Indeed.
So that these are all pluses. And of course, being very partisan, I say that it took place under a Democratic administration, but basically that's really true. We turned off that spigot, and now we've opened it up to the benefit of everybody in the state. One thing that disturbs me, however, is we seem to have a proliferation of, I guess, film shows or really competitions here. We have the Twin Cities Film Festival. We have
Minneapolis St. Paul International Film Festival.
and et cetera, and even some local organizations have film festivals. It seems to me that it would be to our benefit if we could cut down on the number of film festivals, concentrate on one bigger film festival to try to bring in some of the best of the films that are out there. And there are so many films that want to be judged and get into competitions today.
Yeah, definitely over the years, film festivals have increased. I know within Minnesota, you know, the number of film festivals that we have each cater to sometimes a very unique, different audience. And yet I've heard many people talk about the desire and sort of the vision of having something similar to South by Southwest. I mean, where that has just changed the dynamics and the landscape of that community in Austin. And, you know, to see that continue to grow here in Minnesota would be a great opportunity.
And look how Redford's has really grown over the years.
Absolutely.
And, as a matter of fact, as we sit here now, the Cannes Film Festival is ongoing.
Yes.
And Nicole Kidman's movie on Princess Grace did not get very good reviews from the critics. But it was picked as the lead film.
Yeah, it's watching the industry and seeing how it evolves and the process behind it, because it is a big business, and I think that's the important thing to recognize in production as well, is that those that are producing and creating films are, in most situations, thinking of it as a business, because they're wanting to be able to, you know, reap the income back from their investment. And so when people think about entertainment or film, sometimes they think, oh, well, that's just arts, but you know, it's more than just arts. It's also job creation. It's also economic development, and so it really is. It's a much broader picture, and so for people to invest in jobs creation is what really Minnesota production is about.
And we really haven't talked about another important aspect of the film industry, which is the television industry.
Yes.
And you know, from Mary Tyler Moore on back.
Right.
Television also was important. Now you control television also.
Absolutely, and I think it's an important distinction to make as well with Minnesota Film and TV is that it does incorporate television as well. Not only television commercials, but also the rich and vibrant cable television industry that exists in Minnesota. The number of programs that are produced out of Minnesota that appear on the History Channel or the Travel Channel or the Food Network or DIY, you know, it's quite wonderful. And even
Or Access to Democracy on YouTube.
there you go,
But,
you know. So television, and that's what's unique. You'll even see it in the industry as a whole, is that a lot of Hollywood actors, A-list actors, are now looking for those television programs because TV is the area where people are watching their content. Breaking Bad was a huge success, and you know, we as a community here in Minnesota would love to create a Breaking Bad-esque type program that could be shot in Minnesota. So because what Breaking Bad did for Albuquerque, we would love a program to do here for Minnesota.
Well, we'll have to work on that.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Maybe some of your students now are
Maybe. I'm just finishing a novel. Maybe I'll go back to television
there
writing.
you go.
So that's. Do you have any advice for young students who are interested in film as a career? Talk directly to Carrie, who was on camera.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Camera one.
Yeah, my encouragement for anybody who's interested in filmmaking is to really remember the important part of storytelling, because as a good storyteller, you'll always have the opportunity to create a way to share your story. New media is a big push as well. I mean, I remember when I was at Emerson, Doug Lyman, who was the director of Swingers and went on to do one of the Bourne movies, he came to us with an idea of doing something that was pre-YouTube, which is about getting video content on the web. And we're such a bite-sized media consumption society now that for those that are interested, getting into the graphic side of things as well, I think is very important. Animation and graphics. For any young filmmaker, really it's about sort of being able to do a little bit of everything, being able to write, being able to produce, being able to direct. It's nice to find your niche, but it's also good to be able to know how to pick up a camera and shoot if you need to. And
That's one of the reasons that I decided to incorporate internships here on the program for the film students who are interested in it, because here they learn every aspect of the television. And as you can see, on audio, directing today, on the cameras, on graphics, it also gives them, I think, in a very competitive world, a leg up in terms of the competition, because I'm not only competent in film, I'm competent in TV, and particularly as I tell those students who want to become directors, Spielberg is not going to call you at home and offer you a movie. But if you start at an advertising agency or something like that and work your way into this industry, and we've had quite a few students who have really worked their way in very admirably, that's how you rise up the ladder.
Well, and I think it's also important to recognize, and something we really endeavor to do at our offices as well, is to be an open space where young and upcoming filmmakers. I just met with a student, a high school student last week, who's a junior in high school, and he's interested in getting into this arena, and he wanted to sit down and talk about it. And we have an open door process policy at our office. So if whether you're a filmmaker that's new or old and want to come in and just talk about what we're doing, give me a call at our offices, email me. Because I'm happy to be in conversation with anybody and everyone who's interested in the industry.
And it's a wonderful job that's being done by the Film Board, Minneapolis Film TV. You've seen the credits go up during the show, and you can get in touch with them. This is Troy Parkinson, who is a recent addition to what is a very competent crew now. And there was a time when Lucinda was practically alone. Well, we have a whole team now working to make the industry better, to make it better for Minnesota, and ultimately to benefit everybody around. So I want to thank you for coming down here today, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Oh, that'd be great.
And some of the new films that are coming out as a result of Snowbait and the help that the board has given it. Thank you, Troy.
You bet. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.